Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're learning history. An Estonian YouTuber or Estonian soldier learning history, and you're gonna come on the journey with me. We have the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I've done a video on this before, but today we have a simple histories video. And everybody loves simple history because it's simple and it's history. So let's educate ourselves. What is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? My friends, I have made some changes. Never before in my channel I have asked people to subscribe because I didn't like the idea of asking for it. If you like my channel, you subscribe anyway. But now I'm losing a lot. I'm losing so many subscribers. I gain 3,000 a month. I lose 2,800 or something like that. I lose almost as much as I gain. That means people are going away. Why? Why are people leaving? I don't know. If you like my channel, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell button, because that actually helps me to get through the algorithm and it actually shows you my videos. So do that. And also we have Patreons, who are the people who actually really support this channel. If subscribers go away, Patreons are still here. We have Evan High. Mr. High is very high. Maybe that's why people are leaving. Evan High, thank you for becoming a Patreon. We have Sabre Gale, Sabre Gale, thank you for becoming a Patreon. And finally we have Toru 4. Toru in Estonian means pipe, so it's pipe 4. We have pipes on our side. Thank you for supporting the channel. You can do that also. Hit the link in the description, go to the Patreon, pick tier 10 and support the channel. Thank you my friends. Okay, let's learn what is this Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and who is this unknown soldier. You probably won't find out that because otherwise it wouldn't be unknown.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Silent Sentinels. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is at the Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington County, Virginia, across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C., and was erected in 1921 as an eternal resting place for the unknown American soldier killed in France during the First World War. It was a monument to all those unknown American servicemen who died serving their country in the Great War. In the future, the United States of America were to become embroiled in other conflicts, such as World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. In these three wars, hundreds of thousands of American lives were lost. The identity of many of these fallen servicemen was never determined. They too were paid tribute by lying down bodies of unknown soldiers near their comrades from World War I. From then on, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier became a monument to the memory of all unknown servicemen who died fighting for the United States of America. More recently, they have built the Northwood Gratitude and Honor Memorial in Irvine, California, which remembers all of the fallen American heroes of the Afghanistan and Iraq conflicts since 2003. The idea of building a monument to the unknown fallen soldiers arose after the First World War. During the war, the United States had lost over 130,000 servicemen, a great number.
What? The United States lost 100,000 men in World War I? They weren't even the biggest player in the biggest partaker in that war, and they lost so many people.
Of those men were buried far from their homes in special mass cemeteries in France, near the battlefields where they had lost their lives. The number of those whose identity was unknown was not inconsiderate. It was a similar situation with the other combatant countries. The French and British were the first to create tombs for the unknown soldiers in the memory of their fallen men. In France, the tomb was placed at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. The unknown British soldier was buried inside Westminster Abbey. Soon, the idea was adopted by other countries in Europe.
Wait, so this is not American exclusive. France and Britain both had their unknown soldier as a symbol or metaphor standing for every unknown soldier died in battle, right? This one soldier and this one grave is for all of the people and the close ones who couldn't find the remains of their lost ones, and they could actually only go to that one tomb of the unknown soldier because that was the only place that symbolized their loss. They couldn't go anywhere else because they didn't know where their lost one was buried. It's like a metaphor. It's not one certain soldier, it's all of the unknown soldiers. This might be very obvious for you, but yeah, it's probably really obvious for all of you. I'm sorry.
In the United States, Brigadier General William D. Connor, who commanded the American troops in France during the war, advocated a similar idea after hearing of the French project. He proposed the idea to the Chief of Staff, General Peyton C. March, on October 29, 1919. But he dismissed the idea as it was thought that the Army Graves Registration Service would eventually identify all of the American dead, so there wouldn't be a need for such a memorial. On December 21st, 1920...
You cannot identify all of them. There's so many of them and they're lost, and even if you have the DNA capability, they didn't have that in World War I or World War II, but even in Afghanistan, I think they've lost American soldiers they couldn't locate.
New York Congressman Hamilton Fish Jr. introduced a resolution calling for the body of an unidentified American soldier who was killed in France to be returned back to the United States and to be put into a tomb, to be specially built at the Memorial Amphitheater in the Arlington National Cemetery. Congress approved this measure on March 4, 1921. Arlington was already known as the burial place of the unknown American soldiers. The cemetery was established during the American Civil War on land that belonged to the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. The Union Army used it to bury 16,000 of its soldiers. After the war in 1866, the bodies of 2,111 unidentified soldiers killed at the Battle of Bull Run were reburied in a mass grave marked by a stone monument. Arlington was the perfect location for the new tomb. The question was, how would they select who should be buried inside of it? While waiting for congressional approval to build the tomb in March 1921, the United States already had 1,200 dead soldiers whose identities were still being processed.
Wait, so this Arlington graveyard or cemetery goes back to the Civil War. Robert E. Lee was a Confederacy general, right? He was the leader of Confederate Army, and the Unionists made this cemetery on his land. Was this like some kind of a punishment or a message to be sent? They made this cemetery on his land as the enemy's land? Is in the Arlington Cemetery, are there like sections for Civil War graves, First World War graves, Second World War graves, Afghanistan graves, Gulf War graves? Are they separately marked, or are they all mashed together? Like you have a Civil War grave here and next to it you have an Afghanistan or Gulf War grave. I know some of you have been there.
The Army wanted to make sure that there wasn't the slightest possibility of the chosen unknown soldier's body being identified at a later stage. Eventually, in September 1921, 4 bodies were exhumed, one from each of the 4 American cemeteries in France. The bodies were inspected to confirm that the soldiers had died from combat wounds, and there were no records of their identification. After the inspection, they put the bodies in caskets and sent them to Chalon-sur-Marne. Over there, the honor of choosing the body for the tomb was given to Sergeant Edward S. Younger, a highly decorated infantryman still on active duty. The day before, American and French soldiers moved the caskets around.
So they actually chose one certain unknown, unidentified body out of the 4. And they're actually burying a one certain physical body, but it symbolizes all of the unknown soldiers died, right? I didn't know they had any body in there, but they have actually a skeleton in there, or one certain dead soldier. And we don't know who it is.
To make sure no one knew from which cemetery each of them came from. Sergeant Younger made his choice by placing a spray of roses on top of one of the caskets. The body of the unknown soldier was then placed in a sealed coffin and shipped to the States on board the USS Olympia. The other 3 bodies were buried in a cemetery near Paris. The unknown soldier's body arrived in Washington on November 9, 1921. It was displayed the following day in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, where in just one day, 90,000 citizens paid their respects to the unknown soldier.
Well,
On
this
November
idea
11th,
caught on
1921,
fast.
on the anniversary of Armistice Day, the body was taken in a funeral procession from the Capitol to the Arlington Cemetery, where a state funeral ceremony was held. A field artillery battery from the nearby Capitol Mall fired a salvo every minute during the procession. They paused only during the 2-minute period of silence at the beginning of the ceremony. Before it was laid in the tomb, President Warren G. Harding placed a Medal of Honor on the coffin. Admiral of the Fleet Lord Beatty also laid the Victoria Cross Medal on the coffin, on behalf of King George V and the British public. The original tomb from 1921 consisted of only a 3-level slab made of white marble. The tomb was projected to serve as a foundation for a bigger monument which was yet to be built. In 1926, Congress authorized the completion of the tomb by placing an appropriate monument on the existing foundation. A competition was held to design the structure and was won by sculptor Thomas Hudson Jones and architect Lorimer Rich, who were awarded the contract to build the monument. The Neoclassical Monument, in the shape of a sarcophagus, was made of the finest and whitest American marble, the Yule marble. The monument was impressive, with a height of 11 feet or 3.3 meters. It was 8 feet or 2.4 meters wide and 13 feet 11 inches or 4.2 meters long at the base. The top had a width of 6 feet 8 inches or 2 meters and a length of 12 feet 7 inches or 3.8 meters. The weight of the entire tomb was an enormous 160,000 pounds or 80 tons. The north and south panels of the monument were decorated with 6 inverted wreaths, separated with Doric pilasters. The initial idea
It really a little bit reminds me of the Roman idea of glorification, and they use the same kind of symbolics and they use the same kind of pillars, and they come from Greeks, of course, but all great empires copied that idea. And America being the greatest of the empires right now, of course, the styling of this timeless monument of unknown soldier has to be aligned with the previous empires. The Romans used the same, the Greeks used the same, and it is a very timeless style, I think, and I like it. I like to watch it. Neoclassical, was it? Yeah.
was for the wreaths to represent the world of memories, but they later became the symbols of the 6 largest World War I battles in which the American forces fought. The east panel facing the city of Washington had a composition of 3 figures representing peace, victory, and valor, but also 3 allies from the war, the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. The opposite panel facing the amphitheater had an inscription carved upon it. Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God. The monument was mounted on the existing tomb in December 1931, giving it the appearance that we see today. In the early days, there weren't any guards posted at the monument. It was only in 1925 that a unit was deployed to watch the monument during the day. In 1926, the monument was put under permanent 24-hour watch. There wasn't any particular unit assigned for the duty at the time.
Well, nowadays, as I understood correctly, it's the highest honor to be a patrol on this monument or be a watch duty. They have to learn a crazy etiquette and a crazy way to move and march, and they have to learn, and every movement has to be very precise. And I watched a video, if you want to know about it, it's in my channel, search The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier on my channel. You can see real life footage of these guards walking and actually yelling on people who cross the line. They are not to be messed with, they're really strict and they know what they're doing. Every movement is precise and measured and practiced, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it really makes you respect that monument and respect the unknown soldier. So yeah, go and watch the real footage also, you can find it on my channel.
They all came from the Army, as the oldest branch of the armed forces. However, in 1946, the duty of guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier was permanently presented to the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment. Better known as the Old Guard, the 3rd Infantry was one of the oldest units of the U.S. Army and was responsible for performing all ceremonial duties in the capital and for protecting it in emergencies. Guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier is, however, the most honorable of all their duties. At the same time, it's one of their most onerous duties, as it calls for nothing less than perfection. All members of the 3rd Infantry Regiment are eligible for the duty, which is carried out on a voluntary basis. In order to become a sentinel of the tomb, one must have an impeccable military record and pass rigorous tests and interviews. Those who meet the requirements are sent for intensive training with the goal of achieving perfection in every aspect of the sentinel duty.
They're checking everything, and you can see physically the sergeant, or I don't know what's his, well, he's checking the back, the hairline, the hat is checking, moving his head up and down. He's checking the soldier, checking his uniform, checking his weapon, his stance, everything has to be perfect. And this is a public ceremony. People can see how he is checking his men for them to be perfect. They do that every day, every morning in the army. In the Estonian army they did. They checked your nails, your back, if your hairline was shaped, your beard, but they didn't do it that slowly. But here you can see physically how he is doing it. It's a thing they do in the army. As a soldier, you need to be shaved, clean, and presentable.
The duty of a sentinel is highly stressful, as it's exposed to constant review and inspection in order to maintain the set standard.
Yeah.
For this reason, many sentinels give up or are withdrawn from duty after only a few months. Those who remain in service for more than 9 months are entitled to wear the sentinel badge permanently, an insignia in the shape of the tomb with laurels around and an inscription "Honor Guard." Apart from the badge, tomb sentinels are distinctive for the impeccable army dress blue uniforms and sunglasses they wear because of the bright reflection of the white marble. While on duty, sentinels protect the tomb by marching back and forth on a 63-foot or 19-meter rubber mat placed on a...
Oh yeah, that mat, you might think, oh, this is the 63-foot mat, but no, they actually, every step is measured and they make the same amount of steps every time they go back and forth. They've practiced this. There's no room for error there. You actually make 63 steps, or I don't know how many they do, but they do it the same way every time they walk. Every step is the same length. And they moved it with the same speed always.
A toe west of the tomb. The path has to be crossed in exactly 21 steps, after which the sentinel makes a 21-second pause, turns around, makes another 21-second pause, and walks back in 21 steps. The symbolism of the number is connected to the 21-gun salute, the highest salute used in military ceremonies. All the time, the sentinel keeps his weapon on his shoulder closest to the visitors as a gesture of protecting the tomb from all threats. If a visitor violates the restricted area, the sentinel brings his rifle to the front as a warning sign. If the warning fails, only then will he shout out a warning. Apart from that,
there are videos of these guards shouting actually, and you can see even if they shout or apparently lose their chill, no they don't. The way they warn or shout at the people is also practiced and it's also very impeccable, and every move they do is like taking the rifle here and then they shout and they come forward and they do, it's not like ah! It is very practiced and thought through process how they shout at people. Very beautiful thing to watch if you know if you know what to look for and if you know how much practice it takes. As an infantryman, I have been taught to march and to be in a row, and I know how hard it is to learn the easiest of things to do with a squad or a platoon. You have to really practice with those men. You can't just go in a random platoon and march perfectly. Every man counts. You have to make the right length of step. The timing is different with every platoon. It takes a lot of practice and dedication. It takes most of your day.
The entire duty is performed in complete silence, hence the nickname, the Silent Sentinels. Guards are relieved every half an hour. In the ceremony of changing guards, an officer of the guard inspects the guard's uniform and weapons. During wintertime, guards change every hour, while on the night shifts, the change takes place every 2 hours.
Yeah, you cannot be out there more than 2 hours, 3 hours, because it is very tiring to march that way and to be like that. You might think it's easy just to walk around, but you're not walking as a loose person. You're walking as a very rigid person. It's very tiring for your body and mind because you cannot let anything out. It is an exhausting job.
For 35 years, the tomb was a monument to the soldiers fallen in World War I only. In 1956, President Eisenhower signed a bill to honor the unknown soldiers killed in World War II and the Korean War in the same manner. True to the tradition, the internment ceremony that took place in 1958 was exactly the same one held in 1921. When choosing the remains of a World War II unknown soldier, one body was taken from the European theater of war and one from the Pacific. The Korean unknown soldier was chosen from among 4 bodies exhumed from the National Cemetery of the Pacific in Hawaii. Both unknown soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor before their bodies were interred in the crypts on the plateau west of the tomb on May 30th, 1958. The last unknown soldier to be interred at the site was one from the Vietnam War on May 28, 1984, Memorial Day. His body was laid in a new crypt placed between his comrades from World War II and Korea. 10 years later, however, independent research determined the probable identity of the soldier. A DNA test taken in 1998 positively identified the body as belonging to Lieutenant Michael J. Blassie. After his family expressed a wish to bury Blassie in his hometown, the body was exhumed and the crypt left empty.
Honestly, okay, you identify the body in the crypt. For me, I think from my family it would be the greatest honor to be in that crypt. For somebody to have died for the country and to be buried like that, that's the greatest honor. So I wouldn't want to bury him in my hometown. But of course it's a very personal choice, but I think this is the greatest honor to be buried there.
From then on, it represented the memory of all those American servicemen whose bodies were never found. Even though it has no official name, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is the most iconic monument at the Arlington National Cemetery, reminding the nation of all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in serving their country.
A beautiful video to watch, my friends. I like it. I get a sense of awe and a sense of sacredness from this video and from this tomb. So I hope you enjoyed it also. And if you did, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell button. It's very important for the YouTube algorithm, otherwise it just shuts me out. It won't show my videos to you. Become a patron of this channel. The link is in the description below. And if you become a patron of tier 10 or above, I will read out your name and you will be honored as these soldiers who died without identity. Thank you for watching, my friends, and as always, until my next video, stay cool and bye bye.